Today, I'll show you how to put together this two-tier Manger pop-up Christmas card. Hi guys, this is Omar for Awesome SVGs, and I really hope you're having a great day. These past 2 years have been gone so fast, I can't believe it's almost Christmas already. I really wanted to create a Christmas card this year because I didn't have a chance to create one last year, and I wanted to reflect the changes that I have gone through these past 2 years and the hope for a future that's better for all. Now, marrying the purpose and my love for pop-up cards because of the surprise they carry within, I decided to design a two-tier pop-up card with a V-fold rise to complete the Nativity Bethlehem scene. As the title suggests, the card is a stacked double-cylinder pop-up mechanism with a V-fold made out of acetate to elevate two angels holding a star over the manger. It's a very straightforward design that looks complicated, but it's actually really easy to put together. So first, I'll walk you through getting the file ready to be cut on your machine, and then I'll walk you through the assembling of the card. Okay, so first you will add your file to your canvas. So click Upload, select the file that you want on your canvas. Click on it until you see that green outline, and then click Add to Canvas. It might take a while depending on the speed of your computer. And once it loads, you'll see a bunch of layers on the Layers panel on the right. There are a few elements that create this card. So let's talk about each one. You will need to make some changes to each of these elements as well. So the first thing is clicking on the group and ungroup it, and that will leave you with several different groups. One group for the pop-up tiered element, the outer card base, the inner card base, and the V-fold pop-up element. Let's start with this one. This one is composed of two layers. The top layer, which is a layer that is supposed to be engraved. I used Cricut acetate to cut this layer and engraved those lines that they end up looking like rays coming out of the stars, the star that is put on top here. So to change the operation for the top layer, click on it to select it. You will see green on the operation panel on the menu panel up here, and change the operation from basic cut to engrave. That will turn those lines into engraving lines. Then we need to attach those engraving lines to the cutting lines underneath. To do that, click and drag a rectangle that includes both shapes, or just do that by clicking on the title for that group, and then click on Attach. That will attach the engraving lines to the cut lines underneath. Next, we have the tiered pop-up element. This is composed of 5 different elements. There are 5 groups to this piece. You can choose to cut either one. Do not ungroup this group. Just in case you want to cut one of them, just hide the other ones instead of ungrouping and hiding the rest of the layers. So we need to make a couple of changes here as well. For each of the groups, for each of the first 4 groups, you need to change the top layer from basic cut to score. You will see that if you select the top layer, you will see a fuchsia color right here. This is meant to be scored, so select that layer and click on Score on the operation menu right here. Then do the same with the first layer of each of the other 3 groups. So this is one group, this is the top layer for that group. Make sure it's fuchsia and change the operation from basic cut to score. Do the same for the third one. This is a group. This is the top layer for that group. Here is a fusion color and change it from basic cut to score, and do the same for the final group. Here's the fourth group, the top layer for that group, fusion color, change from basic cut to score. And you're pretty much done. Then the fifth element, which is the angels holding the star, it doesn't have a scoring layer, so it's just one single element. Next, we're going to attach all those scoring layers to the cut layers underneath. You can do this with the element grouped, so there's no need to ungroup this. So select the whole thing and click on attach. And that will turn this into an attached group. Okay, let me hide that so we can see better. And next we're going to do our outer card base. There are also two layers to this element. The top layer, which is a fusion color, also is supposed to be changed to a scoring layer. Then click on the group or click and drag a rectangle that includes both shapes. Let me do this again. There you go. Both layers selected, and click on attach to attach that scoring layer to the cut layer underneath. And for the final group, do the same. Select the top layer, fusion color on the operation menu, and click on score. Select the group and click on attach. Once you have everything attached, click on make it and check that everything is where it's supposed to be. Your project will be sorted into your mats, and as you can see here, we have the tiered elements with the scoring lines attached. You can cut this from a single 8.5 by 11 inches sheet of paper, by a letter size paper, if you position the paper well on your mat. Here you have the outer card base with the scoring lines attached. Here you have the acetate piece, the V-fold pop-up element that will be cut from acetate with the engraving lines. And here you have the inner card base with the scoring line attached in the center. Next, click on continue, hook your machine, cut your pieces, and start assembling your card. Okay, so here we have our inner card base that needs to be folded in half. I like to use a straight edge for this. Just make sure the corners of that card base are aligned, and then using a bone folder, make a very sharp crease on that edge. I used an Evolution embossing folder for the inner card base because it's not large enough and it doesn't cover the whole card base. I ran it through the embossing machine, using it first one side and then the other side. I like to use a piece of cardstock just to give it a little bit more pressure. These embossing folders are great. They have like a 3D effect. Just to make sure to align the center of the embossing folder to the center of the card base, and also match the design. So there you have it. Your inner card base is already embossed. And then we will continue with the outer card base. There are three scoring lines here. You will need to start with the center scoring line first. So take your straight edge and align it to the center scoring line and create a mountain fold. Once you have done that, make sure the corners of the card base are aligned and that the top and bottom edges of that scoring line are also aligned. Then, using your straight edge, create a valley fold on one of these side scoring lines. And using your bone folder, crease that very well again. There you have it. Next, flip it over and do the same with the other scoring line. Use your hands, then use your fingers, and finally use the bone folder to create a very sharp crease on that scoring line. You will have kind of like a ridge on the spine of that card base. That's what you need. Next, we will clean up our pop-up elements, remove any stray pieces of cardstock that might still be there. By the way, I used a Nina Metallics paper for this. This is a great cardstock that cuts beautifully and gives you great detail. Here you have all 5 pieces. And what I like to do with the intricate cuts is just run them through my embossing machine using an embossing folder. This flattens all the edges that the cardstock might have. So all those intricate cuts and fine points get flattened on the embossing machine. And for that, I use a sandwich of my A plate, a B plate, my embossing mat, and then another B plate. I make sure to align the center and run the center of one of the sides of the element and then the other side, because my embossing machine is a small machine, but if you have a larger one that can fit up to 11 inches cardstock, you are fine. You can do this in one pass. But the good thing about this is that we'll flatten every little point that might sometimes lift when it's cut on your machine. You have to make sure to fold the center crease on each of the sides first so they don't get lost after embossing them. The center platforms it's not necessary to emboss or flatten your center platforms. I used then a gold glitter pen. This is Wink of Stella gold glitter pen. The brush is small enough to get into all those nooks and crannies of that center star. And I think it gives it a little bit of color so it doesn't look all white. Here you have your acetate. Cricut acetate comes with a protective film on top and also on the bottom, so make sure to remove both sides of the protective film. Sometimes it might be not very noticeable, but it's still there. So in case you see kind of like a dull finish to your acetate and it's not very shiny, that's because it might still have the protective film on top. So make sure you have removed all the protective film, and this is very easy. Fold it in half by following those cut lines, those dashes in the center. Also fold the gluing tabs at the top and the bottom. You can do this also with cardstock. I just found acetate gives you the illusion that the angels are floating above the manger when the card opens up. There you have both gluing tabs for that centerpiece. Next, take your angels, fold them in half. You don't need a scoring line for this. Just pinch the center of the star. Do not pinch the points, the upper or the bottom point. Just leave them flat, as you see there. Because you're gluing this on acetate, you cannot use a water-based glue. So what I did was use some glue dots. This is double-sided adhesive, and I put one dot on the head and one dot on the chest of each of the angels. These are called dots. This is the small version, I think, the small size of the dots. So put one on the chest, then put another one on the head of the angel, and repeat the process on the other angel. There you go. One on the head, one on the chest. Do the same with the other angel. Put in one on the head and also one on the center, making sure no glue sticks outside of the head or the chest of the angel. Next, take your acetate piece and center it on top. There's a little bit of offset for the acetate, so you have a little bit of room to put your angels. Glue them in place, and there you see the dots on the head and on the chest. Okay, so take your top tier, this is the smaller tier, and fold it in half. Make sure the tabs are aligned and also the slots are also aligned. Crease that fold very well, and then using your straight edge, crease the horizontal scoring line to make sure it's straight. Fold it, then using your fingers, fold it in half and make sure they match and they are aligned, and then using a bone folder, make that crease very sharp. You will then add glue to that center gluing tab. Make sure no glue goes outside that gluing tab in the center to the gluing tab in the bottom. We just need to adhere one side to the other. Do not put glue on those. Fold it in half, make sure the edges match and that the folded edges also are aligned. Give it a good press, hold it there for a couple of seconds. And then you can use your bone folders or your fingers to kind of distribute that glue. This is how it's supposed to look. Fold it up and down a couple of times to make it work. And then you will take your gluing tabs and fold them down also to create mountain folds on those too. Create a couple of mountain folds. And then you will add some double-sided tape to those gluing tabs, to the back side of those gluing tabs, not to the top side. Add some scoring tape. I'm using a strong score tape. This is, I think, 1/4 of an inch. And you will add also scoring tape on the right gluing tab, on top of the right gluing tab. Flip it over and add that double-sided tape to that right tab also. Make sure to always add that double-sided tape to the right tab. Next, we will take our acetate piece and remember those gluing tabs that we folded before. Add some double-sided tape to those as well. On top of those two. And you will feed those double-sided, gluing tabs through the slots on the top tier. Just make sure they are aligned. So feed one of the tabs through one of the slots. And do the same with the other tab. Make sure they're all the way through. Lift the sides of that platform. Remove the backing of that double-sided tape. And fold that gluing tab up to secure it in place. Flip it over, remove the backing of that double-sided tape. Fold the gluing tab up to keep it in place. And then just to make sure, I like to add a little bit of masking tape just so it's secure enough. And here's your first part assembled. Here you can see how the angels pop up and all the movement that the opening of the card creates. Next, we will take the manger itself and we will glue the side of the manger to the other side. You can do this with double-sided tape, or you can use also some liquid glue. It really doesn't matter. Just make sure no adhesive sticks outside of the gluing tab. There you go. You have it closed. Make sure it's flat. Fold those tabs up and add double-sided tape to the back of those gluing tabs. Next, take your previously assembled piece and make sure the angel is facing the manger. They all should be facing the same side. Take one of the side tabs of the platform that you just assembled, and feed it through one of the side slots of the top tier. Do the same with the other side. Feed it through that slot. Make sure it goes all the way in. Kind of pull it, give it a little tug until it's all the way through. On both sides, make sure everything is aligned and flat. Remove the backing of that double-sided adhesive and fold that tab down so the platform now is joined to the side of that top tier. Now when that tier opens, the manger and the barn animals create that circle shape, and the angels lift up. Next, take the large platform of the first tier, fold it in half. Make sure to make that crease very sharp. And then fold the horizontal scoring lines using a straight edge. Even though the scoring wheel makes a great job at scoring the cardstock, I like to use a straight edge to make sure my folds are straight and then the card works properly. Using a bone folder, make that crease very sharp, and then you will add a glue to that gluing tab, to that center column for that first tier. Remember to add glue just to the center column, not to the gluing tabs underneath. Remove the excess. I like to keep a cleaning rag on the side just to clean my fingers, not to get glue all over. Align the bottom edge and also the folded edges of that top of that first tier platform. Fold it in half, make sure everything is aligned. The top tabs, also the slots are aligned. And remember to add double-sided tape only to the right gluing tab. Flip it over and add double-sided tape to the right gluing tab. You will need to add double-sided adhesive to only one side of the tabs. Next, take your previously assembled piece with the center gluing tabs and feed them through the center slots of the platform of the first tier. Sometimes it takes a little bit for them to pass through because of the double-sided adhesive, even though this is a very, very thin adhesive. Now pull it until everything is in the right place. Lift the tab, remove the backing of that double-sided tape, and fold that tab down until it glues to that center column. Do the same on the other side, removing the backing of that double-sided tape and adhering that center gluing tab to the column. Next, we're going to feed the side tabs of that second tier through the slots of the top tier of the first tier platform. It's not really very difficult, but you can use tweezers if it's easier for you. Once they are fed through, lift them up, make sure they are all the way through. Remove the backing of that double-sided tape, fold the tab down, and secure that in place. We're almost ready. And now we have adhered the top tier to the platform of the first tier. If you open it up, you will see everything working. Remember to use some kind of tape. I like to use masking tape for this. You can use any color. This will not be seen. Just to make sure they don't come undone. Fold the side tabs down for the first tier platform and add some double-sided tape underneath. Do that on one side and also on the other side. I like to use this double-sided tape. This is score tape. This is, I think, 1/4 of an inch, like I said before. It's a very strong tape. Next, take the side of the first tier, align the bottom edge, and make sure it's folded in half. You can use a bone folder to crease that fold very well. And then we're going to close the sides of that first tier side using some double-sided tape, or you can also use some liquid glue. Put a little bit on it, make sure no adhesive sticks outside of that gluing tab. Align the edges and make sure everything is flat. There you have the side of the first tier of the card. Next, you will need to add double-sided tape to the outside of that gluing tab. Before you did it on the opposite side, here you need to do it on top, on the right side of the cardstock. I have realized this side works better and adds a little less tension to the card base when you put it together. Next, you will need to put the previously assembled piece inside the side of the first tier. Make sure the angels, the manger, and the wise men are all facing the same side. So feed it through, and you will see that I'm trying to feed the sides, the side tabs of the bottom platform through the slots of the sides of the first tier. It's kind of difficult to say it. You can use your tweezers to feed those through the slots. And there you go. And once you have, make sure you pull on those tabs, lift them up, remove the backing of that double-sided tape that you put before, fold the tab down to secure it in place, and do the same on the other side, making sure everything is aligned. And we have the mechanism assembled already. We just need to add that mechanism to our card bases. It's very simple to do. Just feed the center tabs through the inner card base center slots. Because you have a double-sided tape on one side of the tab and on the other side of the other tab, you will fold one tab to one side and the other side and the other tab to the other side. Just make sure you fold them very close to the folded edge of that inner card base. Flip it over, remove the backing of that double-sided tape, and fold that second center tab. Now open your card up, feed that side tab through the side slot. You can use your tweezers for this. It's easier. Feed it through, make sure it's all the way through. Do the same with the other side to make sure everything is aligned and works properly. It should. Make sure it's all the way in. Remove the backing of that double-sided tape and fold that tab up to glue it in place. Repeat the same process on the other side. You will see that part of the pop-up mechanism sticks out of the inner card base. Don't worry, that will be covered with the outer card base later. I like to use masking tape to secure the tabs in place. So do that with all four gluing tabs. And there you have it. The mechanism it is working. Make sure it works properly. The angels move up, and all the pieces pop the way they are supposed to. Now, using some fast grab tacky glue, I'm not using double-sided tape here because the embossing folder created so many creases that double-sided tape just doesn't do a good job of gluing that inner card base to the outer card base. And I'm using a good amount of liquid glue on the inner card base, just making sure to spread it all over and gluing that inner card base to the outer card base. The only thing you need to make sure is you align the edge of the inner card base to the third scoring line from left to right. Just make sure you align it very well and very close to that folded line. Also, make sure the edge of the inner card base is aligned with the edge of the outer card base. Flip it over and give it a good rub so everything sticks together. And then you will do the same on the other side of your inner card base. Here you see that the sides of the pop-up mechanism that stick outside the inner card base are covered by the outer card base. So add your liquid glue, kind of fold it in half, but before gluing it, make sure the edge of that inner card base is aligned with the edge of the outer card base, so it's not crooked, because sometimes it could be, glued a little bit off. Now, rubbing with your bone folder very lightly, not to get rid of that beautiful embossed surface. Make sure the inner card base is glued completely to the outer card base. Now open it up and make sure everything is working properly, and you're pretty much done. All 2 tiers with a V-fold pop-up mechanism with angels lifting stars. Now you can embellish the front of the card however you want. I created a stained glass effect embellishment that I will be posting on a future video. I really hope you give this project a try. If you do, please don't forget to tag Awesome SVGs on social media. And remember that you can download this project for free at my blog, www.awesomesvgs.com. All the supplies used are linked on the video description below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button next to the subscribe button to be notified every time a new video is uploaded. Now here are a couple more videos that you could be interested in. These are past Christmas projects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Have a great holiday. Bye-bye.